Okay, I'm back again for another week of rummage sale movies where I go out to random rummage sales and find random movies. I suppose rummage sales aren't necessarily random, but the movies I like to find are random. I do about 5 movies a week, so that's what I've done so far. I suppose in a future week I could do less if I wanted to, but today doing something kind of different with the 5 movies I picked. As you can see, I only got 2 things. And you might be curious about that. It turns out, this first one, the Alien Files, is like a collection. My light's flickering again. I really need to fix this. It's like a collection. There's 4 movies in it. And the names of these 4 movies are Night Skies, Alien Hunter, Ghosts of Mars, and The Day the World Ended. Yeah. So, looks like Ice Cube's in one of these. And the other movie I got is Luna, Spirit of the Whale, inspired by a true story. Yeah, starring everyone's favorite, Jason Priestley. So, going to watch these in a random order, back to back, and then be right back to talk about them. Okay, I'm back. I just watched all 5 of these movies. At least it was 2 discs. But, as usual, I picked a random order to watch these. And first, I ended up with a little bit of the Alien Files. So, I started with Ghosts of Mars, which is apparently directed by John Carpenter. And you can tell because it very clearly says, John Carpenter's Ghosts from Mars, because I guess this movie didn't have much going for it, so they had to make sure they slapped John Carpenter's name on it where it's visible. Yeah, I guess it was written by John Carpenter. I don't know what's going on with this movie. This doesn't seem like something John Carpenter would make. The movie wasn't very good, if I'm being completely honest. It takes place on Mars, I guess, obviously, from the title, Ghosts of Mars. It's about, they were digging on Mars, and they found, a tunnel, and they opened up the tunnel, and, red mist came out, and apparently the red mist is, the ghost of dead Martians who, now they're possessing humans to protect Mars and get rid of the humans because they don't want humans there. Because apparently humans have, colonized Mars now and they live there and they have this advanced technology. But it's weird because they're supposed to have this advanced technology, but even though they have this advanced technology, they can't, communicate with each other across from Mars. I mean, that's something we can do nowadays in normal technology. We could communicate to people across the planet. It's not that big of a thing, but apparently it is. It would have solved a lot of problems if they could have, radioed for help. But whatever. It was pretty boring, too. And I didn't really focus too much as it came along. I think there was a point where I got distracted for, a second, and it took me a while to realize that 5 characters had died. It's wait, I haven't seen these characters in a while. They died at some point, I assume. Yeah. It stars Ice Cube and Jason Statham. If that means anything. Doesn't in my opinion, but I suppose some people would go for that. Yeah, this was very weird. I mean, it didn't give me a lot of hope for the other movies on this disc, and it wasn't really what I was expecting to find on the disc. So it was very strange. Not very good either. It kind of reminded me of Doom with Dwayne Johnson. Even though I didn't see that movie, but that movie is what this movie looks like, I suppose. Same quality, But move on. Next movie I ended up watching was, I kept on this disc, which is good. Next I ended up watching Night Skies, which apparently is based on like a true story, I suppose. There was like a period of time in Arizona or whatever where a bunch of people saw a bunch of lights, and this tells the story of what supposedly happened to a group of people in an RV. And this was also very weird. It was kind of slow and kind of like empty. You know, I feel like this could have been a lot quicker. I was thinking about it, and this movie, Night Skies, is like the first 5 minutes of an X-Files episode. You know, I mean, you could have cut down this movie to 5 minutes. Because waste all this time on, you know, like character development and stuff that doesn't really even matter. And they don't even like, you don't even figure out who the main character is until like the last 5 minutes of the movie. Like, oh, the movie's about this guy apparently. Because the way they structure it, it's weird. Because you introduce the four people in the RV. Well, it starts off with like a flash forward or whatever to the one girl who's running in the woods. You think, oh, it's about her because she's going to be the last survivor. And then they flash back to the beginning. They go back to the beginning, and you got the four people in the RV. You're like, okay, so it's about that girl because she was in the beginning. But then they introduce a fifth person in the RV, and the way they introduce her seems like they're introducing a main character. Like, oh, okay, so it's about her then. Okay, no. We realize that she's a minor character. And then they run into this, and then like 10 or 20 minutes in, maybe like 30 minutes in, they run into Sean Connery's son, who is driving a truck, and they hit him, and he starts helping them out. And I'm here thinking, like, okay, this guy was clearly introduced late into the movie, so he's going to be like the first to die. But no, apparently he's the main character. Apparently he's the person that this movie is based on. You know, he's the guy who claims in real life that all this stuff happened. Even though I looked online, I can't find anything about this guy and his claims besides this movie. So they're probably just making shit up and calling it based on a true story just to get people interested or not. Because it didn't work, because no one cares. But yeah, I mentioned Sean Connery's son is in it, Jason Connery. It is his son. I didn't know that until after looking it up. I didn't really realize he even had sons, let alone sons who were actors. I mean, I guess you can assume he has kids. Probably has grandkids. He's really old. But next, after that, I ended up watching, went to a different disc. I went to Luna, Spirit of the Whale, inspired by a true story. This was okay. It definitely got the Hallmark TV movie feel to it. It's kind of boring. Wasn't really interested in it. It wasn't anything that wasn't really grasping me. It's got Adam Beach in it. And I was thinking before I watched this, that name sounds vaguely familiar, and that face looks vaguely familiar. And it turns out that Adam Beach actually plays Slipknot in the Suicide Squad movie. You know, the least memorable character of that movie, which is saying a lot. So, good for you, I guess. I don't know if going from this to Suicide Squad is a step up or a step down. Maybe a step down, because Slipknot was a pretty pointless character in Suicide Squad. But yeah, this movie is about, there's like a whale, or apparently it's a dolphin, they said, but I'm pretty sure it's just a whale. I thought dolphins looked differently. But anyway, it's about this whale who shows up in like a lake in a town, and it's causing problems because they don't want the whale there. But then the natives of the town start to think that the whale is the reincarnated spirit of the old guy who died recently. And the old guy who died recently is Adam Beach's father, and Adam Beach is shirking responsibility. He's got a good job, and all the other natives want him to replace his father as chief or something, but he doesn't want to do that. And I guess Jason Priestley is like some bad guy. I don't know. He wants to take the whale away, move it to another location. But then he also maybe wants to capture it and use it for profit. It's all kind of vague and confusing and not interesting. And this is also based on a true story, which seems like a very oversimplification of the true story. And what they don't tell you in this, which I feel is very important in the true story, is that this whale sinks and dies in real life. Okay, the big bad corporate guy who wants to get the whale out of there is saying, well, the whale's going to die if you leave it in there. It happens. The whale goes in their boat and it gets chopped up by the blades or whatever. It's literally what happens. So it's almost like, well, they were right. Maybe if they'd gotten the whale out of there, the whale would have lived a little bit longer. So that seems kind of weird that they would put it in there. I feel like this movie really oversimplified the story of what actually happened. And this could be maybe this should have been a lame Hallmark TV show instead. But at least I'm done with this. I'm not going to hold this on. Because I can go back to this. And the next movie I ended up watching was Alien Hunter. And this starred, I think the only person of interest in this movie was actually James Spader from The Office and Blacklist and Age of Ultron. That's at least what I know him from. I think there's something big that I'm forgetting. I don't know if I put The Office and Age of Ultron as one of his biggest things, but maybe it was this. Who knows? Alien Hunter, when you hear it at first, you think this is like a Predator thing, but about halfway to the movie I was thinking okay, this isn't about an alien who's hunting, this is about a guy who, hunts for aliens. Which, yeah, it's about a guy who hunts for aliens. Anyway, apparently Roswell, there's a Roswell flashback, people hear strange radio voices, and then the radio noises start happening again in Antarctica. People find a little thing in the ice, and what was neat is science guy is telling James Spader that the Antarctic team found something under the ice, and and science guy shows James Spader footage of the team finding stuff in the ice, and the footage is actually the black and white footage taken from the film, from the 1951 film, The Thing from Another Planet. So I thought that was neat. I recognized that. And they also do the same exact thing in 1982, The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, which, they're looking to see what happened to the Norwegian base, and they find footage of the Norwegians from, well, not the Norwegians from the last movie, but they find footage of the Norwegians finding the big black ship, which that footage was from the 1952 The Thing from Another Planet. I guess that's a popular or influential movie in the world of sci-fi and aliens. And so yeah, they find this thing in the ice, and they take it, and it starts melting, and it turns out to be a big black pod thing, and they find out that it's a black box for a bigger spaceship, but it's also a black box / escape pod because there's an alien living in it. And I think the alien is the same alien that they have in Independence Day, which is weird that there's so much borrowed stuff in this movie. That felt kind of strange. And so I guess they bring James Spader in here to decrypt the radio message that's coming out of the black box escape pod thing. And that led to what I admit was a pretty cool moment. Reminded me of some good moments from Contact I like. Contact is a good movie. Matthew McConaughey. Other people I don't remember. But, I mean, this movie was okay. I definitely, out of the three so far, I would definitely say it was slightly my favorite. It was very weird, because the three that I saw at least, Night Skies, Alien Hunter, and Ghost of Mars, they're all very different. I see no rhyme or reason to putting those three movies in this box. But it did something to the end, which I didn't really care for. At the end of the movie, it's just kind of like, science-y things are happening, stuff's going on, we don't know how to end the movie, so we're just going to throw nonsense on the screen. And that doesn't really work, okay? You can't get away with just putting nonsense on the screen, unless you're Stanley Kubrick or David Lynch, I suppose. They can get away with it, but you can if you're making some random made-for-TV movie. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. But it was okay. And then, last and maybe least, was The Day the World Ended. This is a very long video. The only person of note in this movie is Randy Quaid. Dennis Quaid's brother, I suppose, or maybe just another unrelated Quaid. I think I have heard of Randy Quaid. Wasn't Randy Quaid in a Jaws movie? Or maybe Dennis Quaid was in a Jaws movie. I don't know, one of those bad Jaws sequels. Like the 3D one, maybe. But anyway, this is about, it's about some kid who may or may not be an alien, and, like, his mom may or may not have been an alien, and so, you know, the townsfolk kills his mom, so the kid uses his alien powers to create a monster that he saw in an alien film, and bring that to life and use that to kill the townsfolks. And it's really weird and kind of almost frustrating a little bit, because they don't really like explain this properly, because they make you think one thing's going on. You know, they just make you think that the kid's mom banged an alien, and that's why he has powers, and now the alien father's coming back to, you know, find the kid. But that's not what's happening. But they don't really explain all that stuff. But, like, well, you think the kid's father was an alien, but they don't really elaborate if he was or not. Because all we do know is that the alien that's here now isn't his father. The alien that's here now is just like a hallucination, or I need to fix that. It's been a problem. But the alien that's here now is just like a hallucination, or just like a manifestation that the kid created, so we know that the alien isn't his father. But that doesn't give us any information about who his father was, or who he is, or his mom, or why he's the way he is. He's just kind of, he's special because he's special. I mean, unless you're lost, you can't just have a kid who's special and not explain why he's special. So, there was someone. I guess this guy's more like a TV actor, but the bald guy in Heroes who can turn stuff to gold by touching it, he was in this. He played Kristen Bell's dad. That might be Bobby Edner. That sounds vaguely familiar out of all these, or David Getz. These might be people that I maybe should have heard of, but I just haven't. So, I suppose there wasn't even an alien in this movie, which makes this whole box set very weird. you have like 4 random movies that kind of have aliens in it. I mean, except really Ghosts of Mars, I suppose that didn't have aliens in it. It had like the ghosts of aliens. But if you set a movie on an alien planet, the aliens aren't aliens. The aliens are the natives. So the humans that are living on Mars, they would be the aliens, right? And Night Skies had a couple aliens, I suppose. They were weird. They like get in your head. Apparently, it's just what they're told. I guess Alien Hunter is the most alien film of them. I mean, there is an actual, real life alien there. There's alien pathogens, bacteria, or whatever. That's a real problem. It's kind of like, it feels like The Thing at sometimes. It feels like Contact at sometimes. And apparently the day the world ended, that might not even had aliens there in the first place, because who knows if that kid was an alien or not. Yeah, very random boxes. This is most curious putting these 4 movies together, but oh well. At least that's done with. We can move on to other, more, and hopefully better things, but until then, I will see you guys next time.